Low budget.
We are recording, by the way.
Man.
I just press record. So
Yeah, dude. Man, thanks for taking the chance on us. I know you're a busy guy.
Man, you guys have been so supportive over the years that it is my honor.
Oh man, the honor is ours. Oh my god.
Right.
It's like I was telling Rich, I was like, okay, it's something to listen to somebody and then to actually like sit here and talk to them. It's kind of nerve-wracking a little bit because all the stuff that you hear from them.
Yeah, but you guys, like, I don't know. I mean, even though we might not have ever spoken like this or met in person, but I think through all the years and the content and the social media and the podcast, like, there's really no difference. Like, there's already a relationship.
Yeah. I wish we could sit down face to face. Sorry, we have to do it Zoom. You know what I mean? There's a piece of face to face that that energy that can't be duplicated over Zoom. But we try our best.
No, I totally 100% agree. Having done the podcast for so long, and then the way that works, as you guys know, when you're all together, that type of flow and that type of vibe, and even the timing of how you guys speak is different when you're around people.
Yeah.
And the energy is different, and it's a lot better. But we can't control the circumstances right now. You got to make the best of it, and so here we are.
Yeah, just feeling a person out too is like there's something about that. Like when you're in the same room and then you're in across a table from them, it can't duplicate it. I mean that face to face. I feel like a lot of people try to duplicate it through technology, but you can't do that with humans.
Nope. Yeah, I know. Trust me, man. And that's how it is with my 5-year-old and 8-year-old boys, and they're try and build these relationships with kids over Zoom, and to them, they only see like the top, third of the body.
Right.
And they've actually bumped into their classmates in real life, and it was weird for them.
Yeah.
They're like looking at each other like up and down, like, oh my gosh, you have legs.
I just know you from this point and upwards.
Yep. They're like, I know you're from the box. I'm like, oh, jeez.
And you don't have a mask.
So sad.
You don't have a mask. You have a.
Yeah, that too, actually.
Oh man, gotta love it, dude. It's weird because like I know your time is valuable, and I like want to ask you all these questions, but I feel like small talk is like, hey, how are you? Like, first time conversating. I wish we could, just shoot the shit.
Dude, absolutely do that. That's like the initial flirting, right? That's like the beginning.
Yeah, It's like, you look good, man. You've been working out. You look beefy. I like the black t-shirt. Just saying,
Yeah, it's like, it's my favorite shirt, It's the only one I have in black.
You should, I hope like when you pull it down, there's like a Superman tattoo or a Captain America tattoo. Cause
I got, let's see it. Hold on a second. I'll bring it up. I don't have tattoos, but I have like, I make them do with like.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that is
dude.
So awesome.
This thing is legit. This is from
the Sideshow. It is.
A Sideshow collectible. Oh my god.
Man. Yeah, buddy.
And for the listeners, this is my awesome. It's like he's probably like 10 inches tall, maybe a foot. No, probably 10 inches, and it's like basically a $400 doll, if you will.
Yeah. And do you have any awesome. like it's funny because now my mind's ticking about like Batman and stuff. Do you have any favorite like Batman stories or anything like that you've ingrained? It's almost like teaching you a lesson or anything like that?
A couple of things that's interesting here is I grew up a Superman fan. And at some point in time in my adulthood, something happened and I switched over to, I always liked Batman, but then all of a sudden I just really liked, and I guess I identified more with that character than Superman, even though they're like the same philosophical coin, just two different sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, okay. And if you guys have been following my social media enough, that a lot of the stuff that I feel in those moments is the stuff you see posted. I don't like plan ahead. I just have a feeling and I write and I post. And I've done that with Batman stuff. But there's this one, first of all, The Dark Knight has all of those quotes pretty much I identify with, but but he has this one quote about looking into the abyss, right?
Yeah.
And then most people look into that and like flinch or freak out, and he doesn't even blink.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I don't know. He's so secure with himself that there's nothing outside of himself that he fears, other than what's going on inside him.
Right.
Man.
I don't know, man. Look. You guys are here, you'll be all nerding out with me as well.
Hell yeah.
Like, you got this like little.
Oh, the light. That's awesome.
Oh man.
It looks even better at nighttime. And then let's see. Got my little paper, my letter opener.
Yes. It's a batarang for anybody that's listening.
Yes. A Batarang letter opener. That's awesome.
Oh man. I'm surprised you don't have like a Batman tattoo sooner or later, you know?
Nope. I'm telling you, that's why I decorate the way I do, because it's still a form of expression.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, it's funny because none of us have tattoos actually.
Hey, if someone gets so deeply connected to something, like I have zero judgment on what everyone does with their own skin. I just know that I keep changing and growing with myself. That is, I nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's too late and my skin is too saggy, but
no. What are you talking about?
If I did get tattoos, I would be completely sleeved up all over the place.
Yeah.
That's what I get. That's why I do this stuff instead. I don't know if you guys have seen this artwork over there before.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So I'll invest in artwork and I'll do those those paintings and that's like my form of being creative. And then I'm kind of like in my tattoo right now.
Love it, man. I love it.
Where's the third amigo?
He is working tonight, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. That is Panda Mike, and I'm sorry he couldn't be here. He passes on his well wishes. He had a shift he couldn't make. As you know, I know you guys talk. He's up north. He's doing his Leo stuff. So yeah, he wanted to say that your podcast for him has been one of his biggest inspirations.
Wow.
The story about the first one about your dad, he literally called me and was like, dude, I am crying right now. And I have not felt that way about a podcast ever. So I just want to pass it on to you and like tell you that, you know, man, the stuff that you have out is, very powerful.
Well, thank you for that. And also, obviously, I'm going to have to I'll have to jump back on a future episode when you guys are all there, because there's a massive amount of conversation there that he can now relate to because he's in the beginning of that career.
Yeah.
And there's different perspectives and puts a different like human perspective on that type of work.
Yeah. I feel like that's needed right now, you know, like it's funny to talk to you about that. I have a couple of buddies that are in that position right now. And we always come back and talk about like leadership. And we always talk about like the humanity that almost needs to be seen in that career because of what society's kind of like putting on them.
Well, first of all, I agree with you, but a couple disclaimers here. One is what you see on your shiny rectangular devices is not real life.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's your TV or phone, you're being told one particular slice of something, and you're being told that repeatedly. It's almost like if all you ever heard about was like mint chocolate chip cookie or mint chocolate chip ice cream, and you didn't hear about any other ice creams, you're going to think that that's the only ice cream flavor out there. Which, by the way, if it was, that's not really a bad thing. It's not the greatest example. But all the good stuff that you've ever seen as it relates to law enforcement, whether that's someone doing CPR on a baby or playing basketball with kids, all of that stuff is not new. It is not it. When I see it, I'm like, yeah, like, of course, that happens all the time. It's just that's not what is like, that's not what's sexy to publish.
Right.
And also what happens on those rectangular devices, that is not necessarily like law enforcement's line of work. Like, we're not a PR company. We don't have like social media people following around and making sure everything's like documented and made nice and tidy and publicized. Like, we're actually like busy doing the work, not what's on the shiny devices. And that's a topic I can go on and on and on about. However, there's so much good, and I wish there was I think we're catching up. But even the stuff now that you see that gets come out, it's kind of like cleaned up too much, or it's like, it's so expected now. It's almost like getting flowers on Valentine's Day. You know, it's like it's Valentine's Day, so of course you're going to give me flowers.
Right.
I don't know. I think hopefully you guys are understanding my point there.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's also law enforcement, or as you guys know, those folks are not grown in a factory. They're not like born into that career. Law enforcement is your Little League coaches, your volunteers, the dads and moms that are doing their best to raise kids. They're a slice of the community. And in my opinion, like the best parts of the community, because it's really hard to get hired. The hiring process is ridiculous. So then they get spit out into this line of work, and expected to deal with the worst parts of human behavior over and over and over and over and over and over. And for like in 10,000 calls, you might have one that you have a short temper on. I don't know. Like I said, I can go on and on and on this topic.
No worries. I was kind of curious about that, like, because your stories on like your podcasts are always like so captivating. I was kind of curious, like, in your way, like, of the good times and the bad times, do you have like a certain like self-talk or dialogue that you keep moving you forward?
This topic of officer wellness, like the actual wellness part, is a deep passion of mine, and something that I think is eventually, I'm in the beginning stages of it, of what I feel is really like my calling when it comes to this line of work. And a simple example of this is, like, we're taught how to draw our pistol out of our holster. Like, I learned how to do that. I learned how to come up on target. I know I can do fast reloads. And by the way, I'm not a gun person at all. Like, and I wasn't before. Like I said before, I'd carry a sword if I could. Right. But I can do it because that's what's expected of the performance of my duties, right? But I can do that. I can clear a malfunction from my handgun. If there's a stovepipe malfunction, I know I'd clear it right away. But how do I deal with stress? And that's something that gets a hiccup in most people. Like, how does someone deal with stress? And that malfunction in a handgun is such a small little piece. I've actually never heard of it happening in real life, where like a stovepipe, there's a certain malfunction of a handgun where the shell casing, as it's getting ejected out of the slide, which you've seen in all the movies and stuff, sometimes it can get stuck in the slide while the slide is ejecting it, and it's sticking out the top of it, and that's called a stovepipe. We all know how to clear that immediately, but then you ask us how do we deal with stress, and there's a pause. And so that one little piece that like 0.00001% chance of something happening, with 100% accuracy, we know how to deal with it. But acute and chronic stress and trauma, that's 100% chance of happening. But the percentage of our accuracy on that is really low. It's backwards. And so fast forward, I wasn't as good in the beginning of my career as I am now. A lot of stuff got to me. A lot of stuff is still in there. I don't know, like if you literally think of like the worst parts of human behavior, whatever you can think of, it is that, and it's probably worse. And a lot of the stuff I don't even like necessarily repeating or even telling my wife, because I feel like I'm just spreading that type of trauma. Like I'm, if I just be quiet and I hold it in, that means I'm not sharing it. I'm stopping the spread of that like nasty feeling. And that's not a healthy thing to do. I learned that's not a healthy, and it's not like it necessarily goes away either. How you manifest stress changes in different people. And also there's really no time on it. Even something that happened 6 years ago, it's very easy for that to come right back into and have an immediate effect on me physically. So understanding how emotions and thoughts can affect you physically is something that I've paid attention to. But a lot of the studying that I've done, for example, the 4 agreements, and really applying that into not just my personal life, but professional life, is very helpful. For example, one of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally. That right there is very, very relieving. Also understanding the power of stillness. I think for most people, it's hard to sit still for 5 minutes. You know, like I used to share the little breathing video on my social media. It's a little thing that like expands. It's like breathe in and then it shrinks down and you breathe out, and you just breathe along with that. And it's regulating your breathing. But I've had people in my line of work that can't do that because they're so
Jacked
internal
up.
system. Yeah.
Yeah.
So understanding breath work and stillness, and continuing to study, continuing to grow my identity outside of my professional identity, all of these things come into play. And in fact, doing the CSUA was and is a really big part of my ability to cope with all this stuff. Because I'm not just that. It's just part of what I do, but it's not who I am. So that part helps, but it's like, you guys know all my sayings, and those things transcend any particular thing.
Yeah. It's always funny because I always think about this. And you talk about a process and all that stuff. Was this something that came to you early in life, or was it something that always was just kind of like fluctuating and you got more into it later on?
No. Like, was I like a philosophical 10-year-old? You know? I can answer your question. No, I was. I don't know. I always had an interesting way of thinking about the way things were and about life. And I actually remember being in the car with an elementary school, and one of my friend's moms, who was in the driver's seat and I was in the front seat, we were having a conversation about the way kids act, and I was having a hard time with that with some friends at the time, and I remember her telling me that I was different, and then just her telling me that I was different made me actually start doing a lot more self-reflecting on what that actually meant and why I was that way.
How old were you at the time?
I don't know, I was probably 2nd or 3rd grade, somewhere in there.
Wow.
That's very young. That's very young.
Well, then I started getting into like space and Carl Sagan, and reading Cosmos, and just being a curious little kid and thinking why a lot. It has its downfalls though, like it's not like if you start being too insightful or anything or too sensitive and things are, I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
As we all are, man. As we all are. I mean, like, it's funny how you said like it's a process. Like one of my favorite like quotes is like, "I am who I am becoming." Just because I don't know. I like to say I'm also an idiot. There's a lot of stuff that I wish I knew, and there's a lot of stuff that I know I don't know. But if I'm open to learning about it, that's the key. Just being open-minded to being like, oh, okay. And the most enlightening moments for me are some people that I think, or I have those, already kind of like ideas have actually enlightened me by what they actually know or what they've experienced.
Well, everybody you talk to is going to have something that they can teach you.
Yeah, 100%.
I also, that quote that you said, I could stop at I and ponder that forever. Like, what exactly does that mean?
Right.
Or even just I am. It's a common meditation mantra. And really trying to lock down on the present moment. You guys should try that, by the way. meditate with that mantra.
Oh man, I did the what was it, the Omne Padme where you just concentrate on the Om sound for quite some time and just clearing the brain. That was really just to have, like you said, stillness, to have your brain shut off for 1 minute, 2 minutes and just hearing your breath and then concentrating on your heartbeat and being like, I'm alive right now, or whatever that means, is already kind of insightful towards whatever this is.
Oh, that's your monkey mind, man.
Yeah.
Do you know like the physically what that Om is doing to you?
Yeah, isn't it like controlling your nervous system and like calming it? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the Om, that vibration. So whether there's a reason why that Om, like that deep vibration that you're causing with your instrument here, is similar to why singing feels good, why humming feels good, why certain music feels good. Those vibrations are stimulating your vagus nerve, and your vagus nerve. And for those that want to look, I highly recommend looking it up. It's VAGUS, vagus nerve. And there's actually two of them, and they're gigantic because they go from like this part of your brain, travel down, and they go through all your guts and all your major organs. It's actually where I got a gut feeling comes from.
I think it's something to do with like chakras too, in a weird way.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's a whole other.
Yeah.
We're gonna put that over there on the shelf.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the government, if you look at some of those papers that have been published low key, that have been declassified, they basically say that chakras are real and true from the government. But they low key, those papers are released if you want to check those out.
Yeah, man.
So your vagus nerve, it helps you shift to a parasympathetic state. Bottom line, so your autonomic nervous system, your sympathetic and parasympathetic. And this is actually the big conversation in law enforcement, but because most of the time we're in this sympathetic state, like a sense of fight or flight or hypervigilance, or being rushed. I mean, you guys all know the feeling of being in that state.
Yeah.
The parasympathetic is a rest, relax, like I'm chill, I'm like healing. It's actually the best mood to be eating in. And when you stimulate your vagus nerve, it helps you shift. It helps you downshift and regulate yourself back into that state. And that has a good feeling to it. And then doing that, it also, you're stabilizing your emotions, or regulating them, I should say, because while you're stabilizing your attention. So what you're doing with your mind is that you are paying attention to your breath or your Om. So if that is stabilized, that helps regulate your emotions. That makes sense. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I have the same feeling when I'm playing the ukulele, or if I'm sitting and just doing box breathing and staring at a candle. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can, you know, stabilize that attention. You can't regulate emotions if you're not like, if your attention is not regulated.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that, how close in similarity is that to like flow state also?
Well, it's very similar, but I wouldn't say that just because your attention is being stabilized that you're in a state of flow. You know, there's still, you know, exclusive of each other, but there is those states for sure. Like if for example, someone can be in a flow state while, you know, playing quarterback in the NFL. And I wouldn't say that their attention is necessarily stabilized. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
You know, that is, but if you don't have the ability to stabilize your attention, I don't know. It's an interesting question. I'm gonna think about that some more.
I'm always curious about that because there's always been many times where like in jiu-jitsu, they always talk about come back to your breathing. Like if you're getting strangled, you see something like, and then you have to come back and slow it down. And then once you concentrate on that, instead of having the fight or flight, you're in that like, okay, this is the situation. This is where I'm going. So weird analogy.
Comparison. Jiu-jitsu is a great example of, because here you have an external environment that is literally trying to like end you, right? It's like it's not traffic. Traffic's not trying to like break your arm, right? It's not actually right there attacking you. But then having the ability to stay calm under pressure and being able to stabilize your breathing, or at least not letting your own internal systems freak out because of something outside of you. And that, like, you know, like if you're rolling with someone that just started and they don't understand breath work and they start freaking out, or they're scared of something, or there's the discomfort is new to them, then they're going to freak out. But if you have someone that's been there before and understands how to be calm, and like, just because you're just like uncomfortable, it's okay. I don't know, you get the same thing in yoga. You get in these crazy yoga positions and then you learn to just relax your face and breathe, and you're like, oh yeah, not so bad.
You're right. Do you do a lot of yoga?
I do like little mini yogas, man. And it's really more of like, think of like mobility WOD, but with deliberate breath work.
Okay.
Because if I'm going to be doing some yoga, I like to do it functional yoga, I guess, is a way to think about it.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point now where everything is functional because everything is tight, so it doesn't matter. Like it's but I don't care so much about having the exact mobility to be able to hit, squat snatch or something like that anymore.
Right.
You know, that's not necessarily the expression of physicality that I'm looking for. But I do. As soon as these pandemics are lifted, I'm going to join a yoga studio and make that a common practice. And I've decided that I think switching off between a higher intensity day and a lower intensity day, and finding the balance between those two, because you can still have a pretty good level of fitness doing a higher intensity workout 3 times a week.
Yep, absolutely.
And the other side of that coin is an area that I need a lot of work on, like mobility and because I don't know, everywhere my body bends is tight. And I want to take care of this thing, man. I got to take care of this whole thing.
We all have those issues, man. I think from recalling, I think you're 3 years older than me, man. So I'm feeling the same way. Everything is just like, nothing is worse than when you pass your mid-30s and you wake up and you're like, oh my God, like what happened from sleeping? I got messed up from sleeping.
I woke up wrong.
Yeah.
Hey man, that is such an important thing. Like how your sleep position matters.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you sleep on your side or your back?
I would love to be able to sleep on my back, but I always end up on my side. So I end up grabbing. I do like this. I'm like a cuddle sleeper, but I have like a system now, so I save my back. But it's more of a side sleeper, but with a pillow that I have between my legs, but I actually have it like almost underneath my rib cage.
Mm.
Because I'm trying to keep my shoulders and my hips aligned.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because if my pelvis is rotated one way and I have like lumbar extension, then I'll wake up and I'll feel it for a lot of the day.
Yeah. It's so funny how sleep, like, I don't know if it's just a cultural thing or it's just beginning to be analyzed. It's so important, especially as you age, to be cognizant of like, okay, am I sleeping right? Am I breathing right? Am I getting proper rest?
Are you getting enough sleep?
Yeah, getting enough sleep. And if you don't do that, you feel it into the next day. Like it's just, it just wears on you.
Yep. And I think that is and I didn't realize this until recently, but the cultural thing of the grind, like, oh, I slept 4 hours and I got up and I grind, I work hard, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's you're divesting in your wellness.
Yeah. What's his name? Bill Gates had that. He recommended this book called Why We Sleep. And it is enlightening on so many levels. Like he goes in, like whoever, I forget the author, but like the research that they did about just health, about how your brain, your body recovers in sleep. Man, I literally was like reading it and I was like highlighting every single page.
I actually think that comes down, and I haven't read it, but I have a theory on this, and it goes back to something I learned in a class. But I think it has to do with your attention.
Mm.
It takes brain activity and energy to always be paying attention to your environment and to go about your day and walk and talk to people and think and travel about without getting hurt, and to do your job. It's exhausting, right? And that part of your brain can't sustain itself 24 hours a day.
Mm.
And I just thought of this right now because of what you just said, but I tied it back to this class that I took a while back, and the instructor was talking. He said that 20 minutes of meditation is equivalent to 90 minutes of sleep.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's intriguing. That's enlightening right there.
Now, I don't know where that number came from. I can't say for sure. But no, but it just got me. I'm just tying that into, because if you're, obviously, depending on your skill level of meditation, you go in and out of awareness and what you're thinking about in your old monkey mind. But either way, sleep is not something to be underestimated.
Yeah. Who was that guy? Who's the trainer for like 300? Mark Twy?
Mark Twight. He had Jim Jones.
He had an article a while ago when he was training Henry Cavill, and he was like, the first thing he said, he's like, okay, the workouts, all that stuff. He's like, when you're training hard with me, he's like, a minimum of 9 hours sleep. And I just recall that, and I was just like blown away that was the first like staple of his training. It wasn't even like the lifting, it wasn't the workouts, it's just 9 hours of sleep minimum.
And no sitting down.
Yeah, not sitting down.
That's one thing that he used to talk about that at his gyms. There's just no place to sit down.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to sit down when you're training.
Yeah, man. That guy's a beast. He's a savage. So you do CrossFit, I've seen the posts. You guys are amazing. So to say the least.
Well, CrossFit has some absolutely amazing things to it, and it also has some things that can not be so good for you as well. Right, just like anything.
Yeah.
but anyone, the type of people that do CrossFit are going to be good at anything. No, I shouldn't say that back. But if you're going to be doing CrossFit, then that type of person is going to be dedicated to their fitness, whether they're doing triathlons or going to 24-hour fitness. Yeah, I mean, it's even hard to. Can you guys define CrossFit?
What was the actual term? It was like functional movement or something along those lines for a functional environment or something along those ways.
Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, that you're talking about the high intensity, constantly varied functional movement.
Yeah,
something like that. But still, what does that mean, right? So to me, I think the biggest difference to me is they started timing it and scoring workouts.
Mm.
Yeah, what's that scoring about, actually? Because I've seen a coworker of mine before the pandemic hit. She was going to CrossFit every night, and she would update us on her progress, and she would say, "Oh, I scored this. I scored this." I never got that, actually. What is the scoring all about for CrossFit?
Well, I can relate it to you here very directly. Let's say the workout is 800 meters. Complete it for time.
Hmm.
It's just like now look at that. That's an Olympic event. So there's two ways. You take a task and you complete that task for time.
Gotcha.
So whether it's swim 100 meters for time. So in CrossFit, you'll hear that for time. So that's what I mean. Like completing a physical task for time is not new.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sometimes like those things that are being completed could be different. Like let's say your workout is 50 pull-ups for time. So that's one way it's scored. Or it's a time oriented. So think about it like basketball. Basketball, you have 60 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Score as many points as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever has the most points wins. So it's similar to now you take and say, let's just say you and I are playing and we have 10 minutes. Do as many burpees as you can. Whoever has the most burpees wins.
Yeah.
So there you go. So one is task oriented and one is time oriented. And they apply that to functional movement. And functional movement is you're bending at a lot of different joints, compound movements, instead of like bicep curls. I'm not against bicep curls. I'm just using that as a single joint movement.
No worries.
But so what you're doing now is you're making a game out of it.
Right. Yeah.
And you're making it competitive. You're making it competitive, and another very big important part of that, you're making it measurable. Because now you can do the same workout as somebody anywhere else in the world and compare what you guys got. Right. And you can also, and probably the most important part is that you compare it with yourself over time.
Right.
So if it took you, if you have, say, 100 burpees and it takes you 10 minutes, and then you do it again in 6 months and it took you 9 minutes, then you actually have empirical data that your fitness as it relates to those type of movements has improved. Instead of like some of the other models, like these interval training gyms, like Orange Theory or Curves or I don't know, the Functional 45, all these, you go and you're just doing these workouts, but you're not counting. There's no empirical data to it. Like, how do you know you're actually getting better?
Right.
Like, what are you measuring? Like, how do you even know? Yeah, you might be getting a good workout and you're sweating and you're breathing hard, but you don't know how do you compare that to anybody else in the class or anybody. And so but at the same time, that's also a drive for a lot of people, because they might like that and they don't want to know where they fall, or they don't want to know their scores. They just want to breathe heavy and sweat.
Do you play with a diet at all?
Well, I don't know if I play with it, but I
eat clean,
yeah,
cheat days.
So I've gone in and out of all that stuff. I've tested a whole bunch of things on myself. I was strict paleo, like paleo zone, for about 1 year and 8 months a while back. And then I got pneumonia, and then I ate a pizza, and then that was it. and then I went back to normal.
It's the pizza that got you, Scott.
Yeah, buddy. It's always pizza.
Yeah, it was so good.
What kind of pizza? What kind of pizza was it?
Dude, actually, it was just one of those like oven baked ones from the market.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I was so sick. Dude, I had like pneumonia, and every time I moved, my lungs would like click and I would cough. So
No.
I was just trying to get calories in.
Yeah.
But I've also gone through phases of not caring. I've gone back on phases of intermittent fasting. I've gone on calorie restrictions. I've gone on paleo. I've done the keto thing. I think for me, whatever's best is whatever makes me feel the best in that moment. And sometimes sitting down and having some wine and some popcorn and stuff feels the best for me in that moment. So I allow myself to have that freedom, because I've learned that if I choose to eat a certain way, that almost becomes a stressor. Like if you're stressing about the food you're eating,
right,
then you're creating stress in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that is important, because I'm trying to minimize stress, because stress, again, is something that affects your wellness, and stress is what causes cardiovascular disease and diabetes and stroke and depression and alcoholism. It goes on and on and on. Stress is a humongous issue. So that is something I'm trying to minimize. And so I don't necessarily go too hard on myself when it comes to nutrition. But I eat well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So I eat healthy, I eat well, and when I'm eating something that's like not so good, like I'm not going to sit down and eat a whole large pizza, even though I could. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah, buddy.
But no, just like taking care of myself, and the way I look at that, like what I do with myself right now matters to my kids.
100%.
So I'm taking care of myself. I still train hard. I'm taking care of myself physically and emotionally, and constantly improving, and it comes with ups and downs. But I'm not going to let them beat me in a race. They got to earn it, and I got to keep myself in shape for that.
Yeah.
I was just doing some sprints yesterday. I got to stay with it.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm going to see how long I can hold them off.
Sprints, man. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about your body feeling like if it's tight and sprinting? Oh man.
Yep. But that's only because you don't do it.
That's true. Well, it's also everything for me is tight. So the stretching and everything afterwards is just like, oh God. So,
But you're tight because you've chosen that.
Yes, that's my laziness. 100%. 100%. It was funny because I've dabbled in a couple of Bikram yoga classes, and that stuff as a yoga practice, not just specializing or like singling that out. I definitely want to get into more yoga also too. Like there's definitely a feeling of my body's like, I don't know, like getting loose that I'm very attracted to, especially as I'm aging. My mobility also too is something.
Mm-hmm. You gotta stay pliable, man. That TB12 method.
Yeah. If I can't pull my leg to my chest, I'm in trouble. So,
Yeah, well, I am nowhere near that, but I want to keep trying to get off the ground without using my arms as long as possible.
Yeah, 100%. My dad, we talk about it all the time. He's in his 90s right now, and I keep telling him like, hey man, you gotta work on those hips and those glutes, because there's been times where he's gone down and I had to pick him up. So.
Well, yeah, he's also 90.
Yeah.
So he's 92? 90 or 92?
93.
93.
Yeah.
And he's already like body slammed cancer, right?
Yeah. Everything. He beat cancer, went to stage 4, came back, and there's a reason why I'm still here. I'm still hanging out with him, because it's I never wanted to kind of be in that woulda, coulda, shoulda phase. So,
Has he started documenting like his whole life?
In ways. There is right now, as I'm looking over, tons and tons and tons of writings, like just thoughts that have poured out of his head. He's published some stuff from Reader's Digest back in the day, so I have that like literally like within arm's reach of me right now. I'd have to find it, but there's a lot of stuff. He's lived a very, very interesting life.
A little suggestion, and totally obviously up to you. But I think it would be really cool if you wrote out a bunch of questions that you've always wanted to ask him, and then interview him in a podcast. And then you don't necessarily have to publish the podcast, but record him while you can.
We've done recordings actually. It's kind of my own right now, if that makes sense. I think as maybe time goes on or something along those lines, like there's definitely recordings. It's just holding it close to the chest right now, if that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Down the line. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's just close to the chest, maybe because he's still here, but anyways.
That's why I don't know if you can see it. You see that right there?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys know it's in every single one of my posts. I'm just very sensitive to how quickly life can go.
Yeah, man. It's what is it? Stage 4 cancer, heart valve replacement, and then prostate kind of stuff issues. So 93. I've been tiptoeing around it for a while. So it's never out of my brain about how life is not infinite, about one moment, one day could be someone's last.
So he had you pretty late in life, huh?
55. 55.
Wow.
Yeah,
Jeez.
man. But you know what's crazy is there's a picture of him I found at the age of 55. By the way, running marathons at that age, getting it in. And I saw this picture and I was like, that is not somebody at 55. Like, what is that? So, you know how like there's certain people you chase and you're like, okay, that's something I need to aim for at that age. It's probably my dad, just because somebody had you at 55 and was running marathons. I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, you're just sitting there settling into your tightness.
Yeah, exactly. Like trying to stretch. I ran a mile today. What's going on?
Oh man, I love those miles, by the way.
Yeah.
I want to know Rich, what's behind you?
What's up?
What's behind you? I see, there it is. All right, we got Superman, we got Flash. What's
Superman
over?
Flash.
Anything else below the shoulder? See?
Headphones, some statues, video game statues. Another going this way, that way. Flash. Flash is my Flash is my favorite superhero character. So. Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the new incarnation of him?
Oof. I feel like he's a combination of all Flashes. My favorite is Wally West, and that's something I grew up with, especially with the DC animation in the 90s. It was always Wally West that was portrayed. It wasn't until I believe the mid 2000s where Barry Allen came back, and now Barry is the one that they're kind of highlighting as the main Flash again. But yeah, it's always been Wally West for me. Even in the comics, I actually have this framed up. That's my very first comic book that I got. I want to say I was 11, maybe even 10. And that was another Wally West. They actually did that villain in season 4, I believe, in the Flash TV show. So, but yeah, I was never the tallest guy, but I was always one of the fastest. And so that's the one thing I've always leaned on. So any sports I did, wrestling, basketball, track, I was always one of the fastest. So Gotta play to your strengths.
Yep. Well, thumbs up or thumbs down to Ezra?
Indifferent. I'm like in the middle. Like I liked, again, he was a culmination of all flashes, so I liked some aspects of it, but I didn't really like how I don't know what it was, but I didn't like how his portrayal of how he actually ran. I know he was trying to go for more of a ballet. There was this interview where he was going for more of a ballet / ice skating kind of motion. But every time I saw that, I was like, that's a little bit different from what I'm used to seeing. So I'm usually, especially with Olympics, I'm used to seeing sprinters like run a certain way, and that's completely different from where you see an ice skater, speed skater, skate. So for me, I've always just associated, I guess, speed with track and how that kind of movement.
It was weird. It was weird.
Yeah, it was. So that's why I was like, I don't know if I like it, but I guess so. I'm indifferent with it. Like I like the TV Flash better. That's for sure.
I didn't like it. I'm like, that guy does not know how to run, so they're making him do something weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
Even though they built that big huge treadmill for him, there was something about the way his foot went in the back. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like,
yeah,
that guy's not a runner.
No, I'm actually trying to get back into running, but
you guys doing a lot of trying over there.
I did get back into working out, so I'm actually about to work out after this, but I did work out earlier today. So I'm following this center program, the one that Chris Hemsworth has, that app that he has. So I'm following that program. So
Thor's?
Yep, Thor's app.
Is he currently training for Hulk Hogan or something like that?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah. I believe so.
All right. He was fine as Thor. He was good.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan, I'm like, I don't know, man.
I know.
Hulk's a massive man. I don't know if he can get that massive, but well, we'll see,
Well, at least he's tall. He's of any actor, he's probably the closest thing of the ones that are known to play it.
Yeah. Yeah. Build wise, I don't know. I feel like you could even cast somebody else that was bigger body mass. So I don't know.
It's a good point.
Yeah, he's Hulk Hogan's a massive man. Like he's larger than life in like a lot of ways.
No, he's big. Yep. But they can make him Tony Stark. What's his name? Why am I forgetting? Robert Downey Jr. is a tiny little keychain of a human. And they made him look like, decent size, even though he's in his Iron Man suit, but you never know how small he was by looking at that.
Yeah, I didn't know he was 5'7", man. I thought he was like your height, man. You're pretty tall also.
Oh, he's 5'7". Yeah, I guess maybe 5'7", but thin,
Yeah. So a lot of Hollywood, like I know I go onto IMDb and look at their size and I'm like, oh, I thought you were bigger, but opinions vary.
and those are, you're adding inches to those as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to each his own. I mean, it's, and then there's some people that are just gigantic, they got that Viking DNA.
Who's someone that had not Chris Pine, Star-Lord,
Chris Pratt.
Thank you, Chris Pratt. He's a good size. He's probably 6'2", 200 pounds.
Isn't that your size? You're about that size, man. Yeah, you're pretty beefy, as I would say.
Not enough to play Hulk Hogan.
But every wrestler is like larger than life. Like what is it, like the Undertaker? I was just looking at his size. He's like 6'8", 300 plus pounds, and he's not even considered like the largest out of all of them, which is even like crazy to think about. Like, what is it? forgive me, my name is messing. Like the guy who's in The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler, like he's the Indian guy, like the Great Khan or something, is like, or The Big Show. 7'3" is like 600 pounds.
I was at a restaurant in Venice. I don't know if you guys know the Firehouse, but I was sitting there eating some food, and there was this guy sitting at like a few booths away in the back corner, and I kept like, I noticed, I was like, wow, he's got some bright white shoes, and then I was like, wow, he's got big calves. And I kept looking, I was like, he's got these little ankles, but he's got these big calves. And I'm in my head, I'm like, wow, you're just over here with some calf envy, just like. And I was like, gosh, can you stop checking out that guy's calves? I'm like having a conversation with myself. I'm like, no, those are amazing. They were amazing calves. They're like well tanned and like good shape to them.
Right.
So this went on for a little while. And then he got up and started walking away. And I was like, when he got up, I was like, oh my gosh, that guy's gigantic. And I was like, wow, he's got a great build. And then as he's walking past me, he's like, oh my gosh, that's The Rock.
Oh,
oh wow.
Oh man.
Oh man.
And I didn't even dawn on me to look up. I was just staring at his calves for like 10 minutes.
Dude, that's awesome.
The Rock. Oh
dude,
wow.
he was huge. That's a gigantic human being.
He's a specimen also too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not just tall, but he's built, like just built.
Yeah. And plus there's a difference between somebody being built and then having like an athletic like appearance to them.
Yes. 100%.
Right? He's definitely not The Block, he's The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's
got some shape to him.
Yep.
Well, dude, have you seen pictures of him? I remember seeing pictures of him like when he started out in wrestling to where he is now. I feel like his physique has gotten so much better. Like, wow.
Oh yeah.
Well, he got money for better nutrition and training and education, and now obviously when he first started wrestling, he didn't have much money to him, so
and then the time to just dedicate to just nutrition and working out. Dude, I remember listening to Will Smith's training regime for Ali. And he's like, we wake up at 6, we do this, and then we go train, and then I eat, and then all this stuff. And it's like he goes all the way to 6 p.m., but like nothing but just training and eating. And I'm like, wow, like to dedicate your life to that and to have the time to be able to do that and then, come home and relax. That's like a dream for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's really talented too, Will Smith. Yeah. Do you guys watch the reunion, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion?
Yes.
No. Oh, is it good? Is it good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got choked up like at least 2 times.
The one we talk about Uncle Phil.
Well, yeah, that part for sure.
That one's for sure. Yeah. But the one with Aunt Viv was another one. Yep.
The original one was better. She was so like beautiful and talented and just had a much more energy, and I don't know. I liked her a lot better.
Yeah.
That's one of those shows that like if you grew up with it, it just hits home. It's like perfect,
Yeah. Yeah. And it didn't dawn on me until I watched that reunion show, and I think, well, it was like 25 or no, it was like 30 years later, the reunion.
Oh God.
Which
Oh Jesus. Did you ever hear? I don't know if they got into it in the reunion about the audition about how I forget his name, Uncle Phil got the part to be Uncle Phil. Did they go into that at all?
No.
They didn't go into
that? They
did.
Oh. Not his, but they did talk about Will Smith talked about his at a Quincy Jones party, and some of the other actors, they played their videotapes and stuff.
Oh man, I feel like the story's on YouTube, but he sits there and Uncle Phil comes into like this office, and Will is like sitting down in the chair with his feet up on like the table, like just being Will Smith. And Uncle Phil comes in and he's like, "Get your feet off the table. Who do you think you are?" Not knowing who he is. And next thing you know, they liked that dynamic so much because he took his feet off. I was like, yes, sir. Okay. All right. What's going on? And they're like, if somebody can do that to Will Smith and not be intimidated by his presence, we got an Uncle Phil, and the rest is history. And I just remember that being like, wow.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, dude, he mentored him a lot. You got to watch it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I need to. Well, dude, he's the voice of Shredder on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Come on.
Then you're gonna love it. It's like, I don't know, an hour long. I don't know,
Yeah,
like
it's about an hour.
Wow.
Mhm.
if you watch the show, you got to watch it.
I need to. It's on the content we always talk about on our show about like nerding out with like certain things. I was kind of curious. What are you watching right now? What are you checking out?
Well, okay. I just finished watching The Mandalorian. Well, not just, but I watched the finale for like the 10th time, so I'm still considering it like.
That is the way.
Yep.
That is the way.
Which, by the way, I pre-ordered a helmet, and so stand by for that.
Dude.
Yeah, I got a legit one, and the heart. I got to figure out.
Where to put it?
Yep.
Yep.
Dude, I
It'll
wanna
go
see
somewhere. It'll go along with. You can kind of see above my head.
Oh,
that.
You
Yeah.
see
that's
my Maximus helmet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh man.
Oh, wait a minute. Dang. But so I got that. It's gonna take like a month to make. You guys have seen this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that. Yep.
This is from Batman Begins.
Are you gonna put it on? You gonna put it on?
You're gonna put it up.
I would, but a couple things. One, it's really uncomfortable. Two, you gotta be careful when you put it on, not to have it like this. I mean, your eyes do funny things. But also, it'll make my AirPods come out, or AirPods come out. That thing smashes down on your head. Like, props to those actors for wearing those things.
Oh, dude. Well, what was it? Christian Bale was talking about how he was getting intense migraines, and he used it to like channel the character. I just was like, good God, how horrible that must be. It's just this thing just in your head.
Yep. I don't watch a lot of TV, and when I do, it has to be very deliberate. Like, I won't just sit down and just flick around the remote, because there's a whole lot of other goals that I have, and a lot of books that I want to read. And so I just started reading The Fifth Agreement. So that's the one I'm working on now, and I circle back to a lot of the books behind me that I keep reading over and over and over. In fact, like, just to give you an example, I got this right next to me because I was reading it before I talked to you guys.
Is that Meditations?
This, no, Art of Living.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of my friends have been bugging me about Cobra Kai.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I watched 3 episodes of it last night, and like, I'm so conflicted because it's so stupid, but it's so good.
That's what you said, Tommy. That's what you told me.
It's so stupid, but I'm like, my wife's making fun of me. I'm like, it's like, when you finish an episode and it's like, start the next episode. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is so bad. Yes, please.
Yes.
But I'm kind of mad because now it's like inhibited some of the other things I want to work on.
Oh man. Yeah, but like, there's something about that horrible joy that you get out of something where you're like, all right, what am I watching? But I want to watch more. Yeah. And so I get that feeling even with my wife's watching like Shark Tank or something like that. I'm like, and the next thing you know, I'm wrapped into it. And but I guess we all need those outlets and different things to find goofy joys in. Yeah, it's just.
I was gonna say I can spend a lot of time doing. No, but I think without it, then I'll be too busy doing too much like heavy stuff.
Yeah, well, it's like I don't know if there was a philosopher that said about it, but he's like, you know what? Sometimes finding meaningless joy in stupidity is actually a beautiful way of life. Like look, we get so caught up in like, okay, this is what I need to accomplish and this is what I need to do and this is my calling and all that. And then sometimes you realize, you know, sometimes stupidity can be fun.
Well, I found it. In fact, I might watch some more tonight.
There you go.
But other things, let's see. I watched Game of Thrones. I was into The Witcher.
Yeah, buddy.
In fact, I want to watch the first season of The Witcher again, but I'm going to wait till I know season 2 is almost ready. Man, what else? I haven't watched a lot of the popular shows like Breaking Bad, or I haven't seen that, or even like The Wire, Narcos. I have never seen The Sopranos. I just watched No Country for Old Men. That's where I'm at. I'm catching up. I'm thinking about watching There Will Be Blood.
That's a heavy one.
But a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But as these things come up, now what I do, I in my notes in my phone, I'll list it there. Like, I want to watch that, and I'll put it in there. And now I'm checking those off and deleting them as I go.
There you go.
Is there something after I'm probably gonna end up finishing Cobra Kai, dang it.
Yeah, buddy.
How many seasons of it is there? Are there 2?
3. There's 3, dude. And it's all glorious.
Oh my, you're such an enabler.
But a good one, trust me.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Am I gonna finish like season 3 and just reflect on like, what have I done with myself?
Yes, but in a good way. Be like,
All
okay, Cobra Kai
All
never
right.
die.
All right. And then I want to go, because I've watched a couple episodes, but I want to go and finish watching all of the episodes of the new season of Cosmos.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I watched one recently about how plants and trees communicate through mycelium, which is, and how bees are really the only democratic society, truly democratic society. They did a whole episode on that. It's pretty fascinating. Mm-hmm. And I'd watch it anyways. Has nothing to do with it really, but my uncle did the visual effects for that season.
Oh, cool, man.
Sweet.
Very cool.
So, but I would watch it anyways. What else? What else should I watch? I don't know if I want to trust you there, Tommy. I don't know. If you can't be that passionate about Cobra Kai, dang it.
Dude, but if you think about, okay, so it depends on where you are in your life. If Karate Kid hit on a certain nerve, there's just something about Cobra Kai, what they're doing, that just like, it's childhood. It's like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's that childhood nostalgia that comes out, that you're not just watching a current show, you're also reminiscing about where you were when you were watching the former movies or the former things. Right. That's what it is. It's that piece of you, like when they go back to like old apartments or old scenes, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I remember that. I was,
All right. Well, I like it. Obviously, I'm still in the first few episodes. But Daniel LaRusso's face when he first saw the Cobra Kai dojo, was like look through his car he had. Also, I finished it like, I don't know, a month ago, but I watched for the first time Stranger Things.
Oh,
no, I loved it. That was very nostalgic, right? Because it's had a Goonies vibe to it, and the 80s and everything, and the music was great.
Score was awesome.
Oh yeah.
But I want to go to that the Stranger Things drive-through or drive-in or drive-through experience.
Drive-through experience, yes.
Have you guys done it?
I have. It's the budget was actually quite. It was well done because it's by Netflix, so they're the ones who's actually giving them all the money. And so basically, what it does, it recaps season 1 for the most part, but obviously you're seeing this in a performance kind of way, and it's awesome. It's great. All right.
Yeah. I have a question then. Number 1, should drinking be done prior or during? And then. And then that's a fair question.
That is a fair question.
And should I bring a driver that is not that into it? because I don't want to be driving, like paying attention and driving.
Right. They do a good way of you can drive yourself, Scott. Like if you were to go and you were the driver, that's totally okay, because there's parts of the whole experience where they bring you into a section, a part of, because they took over a whole garage parking lot. So it's this interesting way of recapping the whole season while you're kind of going up every level of the parking lot. And there's sections of the lot itself where you just stop and scenes happen, whatever scenes they were, you know. And they do a pretty good job of spreading the action out so that everyone is able to see what's happening. And after that scene or whatever that part is, you go to another section, and the transition, I should say, is always one of the cool parts because it reflects on what's happening on the TV show. Other than that, as far as the drinking goes, they have you can order by you can bring your own, you know, your own beverages. I think that would be better instead of spending, I think it was like $20+ for like a couple of the combo you know, food there, but you can bring your own.
I'm so excited.
It's awesome. I think they were about to end it, but I think it got so popular that they're extending it through spring, I believe. I'm not quite sure when, but it's still happening right now. So
all right. Oh, I'm going. I'm going to dress up.
Yeah, you check it out, especially if you see the first season and you're kind of in that mentality of like, okay, I remember what happened season 1. It's a great show.
Ooh,
great experience.
I haven't gone. Sold. I need to check
yeah,
it out.
I was actually impressed because that was the one thing with this whole pandemic that everyone's doing this drive-through experience, and all the ones I've done, whether it be a Halloween theme or a Christmas theme, they were okay. You know, since we've never gone through this kind of situation before, but I think the difference is that Netflix is behind this experience, and they actually had the money to spend.
Yeah, well produced and
well produced, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So
cool.
it's done very well. Good job.
I guess coming towards the end, dude, thank you again. This was actually a lot of fun. I hope for one day I get to like see you in face and nerd out with you, because I feel like the whole Batman and comic book stuff is like, yeah.
Also, Mike should be here.
Yes, I agree. We always like to ask a question before we leave, and I was kind of curious, off the top of your head, do you have any quotes, any things you say to your kids that you have like quoted to memory that, you know?
Well, get up strong. That's the first one that comes to my head. And that started on a snowy mountainside when my now 8-year-old, he was 5 at the time, and he kept slipping and falling. And then every time he did, he would cry. And then he was laying down on the ground, like on the little hill, it was snowing, and he was like crying because he kept slipping and falling. And then I had told him, I was like, hey, say every time that you do that, get up, and I want you to say out loud, get up strong. And that changed his whole demeanor. And now that term, get up strong, is like transcended into a bunch of these podcasts and become a hashtag. Actually want to make a kid shirt for it and with a little heart, and the whole concept of get up strong, because every time you fall, it's an opportunity to get up strong.
I love it.
So that's the thing that's quickly for my kids, because if and I shouldn't say if, it's like how many times a day do they start crying, or they fall, or they get mad, or whatever it is, and I say to them, hey, what do we do? And that gets them, and sometimes they're pissed off about it, but that gets them into a victor mindset and not a victim mindset. Mm-hmm. And that gets them to think about that whatever just happened as an opportunity and not something that they can do nothing about. So solution-based, opportunity to get better, and just a beautiful combination of those 3 words.
Love it.
And I'm not getting that tattooed. No. Yep. I'll make a shirt out of it. How about that?
All right, deal.
There
I'll purchase it. Let me know when it goes up.
You guys saw that? I made a Mandalorian, like, this is the Sisu way
Yes.
shirt.
Yes,
That was awesome.
Well, it got shut down. That thing got.
What?
Oh, copyright issue?
Oh,
Yeah,
No?
it was. Yeah, it was too close.
Too close. Yeah.
I know. So I'll just do it myself. I'm not going to use the printer company that I was using before.
there you go. There you go.
There you go.
Just do it like everyone else does it and stuff. So if you ever
That's
have
the
another
thing.
coin that comes out, well,
Yeah, dude. Well, I did see. That's one of those things. Do I watch Cobra Kai or do I work on the coins?
wow.
I don't know.
Both multitasking, right? Oh man, Rihanna, do you want to take us out? man?
Sure. Yeah. No. Thank you, Scott, for coming on the podcast. For everyone listening, Scott, where can people find you?
At Scott McGee is the quickest way.
There we go. On
I dropped the
Instagram.
one. I used to be at one Scott McGee, but got rid of the one. So just at Scott McGee.
At Scott
And then
McGee.
obviously my podcast and other project is at the Sisu way.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Scott. It's been enlightening. Awesome. I learned a lot of stuff. I'll tell you that much. And we'll see you next time.
All right, guys. Much love. Tell
Much
Mike
love.
hi.
Yes, we will. All right.
All right. Bye, guys.